Hey everybody, how's it going? Back here. I'm here to discuss the top five interior linemen of this NFL draft. Start off with my number one guy, David DeCastro from Stanford. He's the best guard, I think, the best interior lineman, also the best guard, offensive guard in this draft. Uh, he was a part of probably the best left side of all of college football last year with him and Jonathan Martin at the left tackle spot. This guy is a tremendous run blocker, very great strength, very good technique. Why he's a technician. He does have a little bit of trouble in pass blocking, but I think that'll come with just coming into the league. A lot of linemen have problems with that, so I think he'll struggle a little bit in pass situations. But when it comes to nasty, a mean streak, um, technique, sign, good feet, good base. When it comes to driving his blockers, can pull, very good at getting to the second level of his block. So he's definitely, all in all, a guy who I think will probably be a top 20 pick, maybe even a top 15 pick for a team that really needs a guard. My number two guy, he was a bit of a tweener. Cody Glenn at the University of Georgia. He was a guy who played a lot of tackle, and he was not a guy that really reminded me of a good guy that would be well in space. He played left tackle for Georgia this year. He had some good times. He struggled a lot. Got to the Senior Bowl, and they moved him in at guard sometimes. And he's going to translate, I think, more of a guard than he will as a tackle. Big guy, 6'5", long arms, 345 pounds. Moves very well for his size, especially if you move him into the guard position. Very good run blocker, quick feet. One of the guys who I think that if you put him out there, he's kind of versatile. If you move him to right tackle and you can help him out a little bit, he doesn't have a leap. He doesn't have that great foot speed or quickness if you was to put him on the outside at the right tackle spot. But I think if you move him inside, make him play right guard, left guard, I think he's a guy that can, especially his run blocking and his power. He's one of the most powerful guys that we have in this draft. He's a guy that's really gonna help out from being able to. Also, he can also play right tackle, like I said, but he's best suited, and I think he'll have a very great career if he stays inside of the guard position. Um, Peter Kahn's my number three guy. He's the center for the University of Wisconsin. The best center on the board. A very smart guy, very intelligent guy, very good at run blocking, pass blocking. He's very underrated and you know that just being from the University of Wisconsin, the lineage that they have of having linemen is going to be something that's really going to help him, and I think he's a guy who'll probably be in the second or third round, but he's a guy who will be a guy that you'll remember in a couple years of probably being one of the best linemen, best centers, or one of the top five centers in football. I think just with the prodigy, the pedigree that he has. My number four guy is a bit of a sleeper, Amini Salatuo from Midwestern State. Not a Division 8, not a Division 1 high level guy. A guy that I saw a lot of film on. I really fell in love with it. Very powerful guy. He's really raw, but I think if you fine tune his skills, he's gonna be a guy that can be a real big steal in this draft. I think he'll probably go along, maybe a slip into the first round, but I think he'll become a second round range. He's a project offensive guard. I think that he's very powerful. Had a very good combine. What I saw, I love what I saw for him on tape. Even though it wasn't the best competition, you could tell he was dominating those guys, and hopefully we get to see what he can do. Like I said, he's a project. He's a guy that has untapped potential. I think he has the most. Him and James Brown from Troy have the most potential out of all the inside linemen in this draft to be stars, be very good linemen, all Pro Bowl type caliber linemen. So be a lookout for him. At number four, he's my number four inside lineman playing at the guard position. And then my number five is Keith Zettler from Wisconsin again. Played guard, a very good guy, very good. He has great feet. Struggles a little bit on pass rushing a lot. Doesn't have a very good quick step. Sometimes he gets late jump off the ball, and he gets beat a lot of times. But I think that he'll be a guy who I think can have a very solid career at the guard position. So my top five is David DeCastro, Cody Glenn, Peter Kahn, Amali Satulo, and Kevin Zeller. For my biggest fall, Kamichi Mele from Iowa State. He was the guy that I thought was going to be probably a first round left tackle, and during this senior season, he really didn't have a great season. Was getting a beat a lot off. He kind of reminds me a lot of Cody Glenn, a guy that if you put him at the left tackle spot, maybe he'll succeed sometimes, but if you kick him inside, and him playing a guard, I think he'll be best suited at that. Watched him at the Senior Bowl. He did get beat a lot of times, and he was a guy who was really a top five, who was a top first round, like I said, a top five, one of the top linemen, offensive tackle or guard or center. And then he just fell. He just wasn't really productive this year. So I think he's a guy that definitely end up falling out of my top five, and maybe out of a lot of people's top 10 actually. So he's my biggest faller. I got two guys for my undervalued pick. They're both centers. Michael Brewster from the University of Ohio State, and David Moak, the center for Michigan. Those two guys, I think, are guys who I think if you give them time, they'll be late round guys, late round pickups. But I think that they have the ability to become starters later on down the road, probably about 3-4 years down the road. Very good backup time. Moak is a little bit undersized, about 6 feet, about 290. So he's a guy who's really undersized, but I think that he has a mean streak to him. He's one of the best. He's probably has the best mean streak out of any lineman I've seen in this draft. Watching tape of him at Michigan, and I think Michael Brewster, he came out a little bit too late. He came out early in my opinion. I think if he would have stayed 1 year, he would have helped out. But I think Michael Brewster is a guy who, a couple years, can also be a very good center in this draft. And my sleeper pick is going to be Centelio Clemente from the University of Washington. He was a guy who they took him out of position. He was more of a guard. Washington tried to kick him out to left tackle, and he was in and out of the lineup. And I think that he's a guy that I think very strong guy. He really impressed me during the Senior Bowl. He was one of the guys. I think he was the MVP out of all the offensive linemen on both sides, north and the south side. When it came to just individual drills, beating guys one-on-one, getting under guys. He's very strong. Like I said, he has to work on a couple of his tools. Like I said, he's a guy who's come in and out. So he's one of those people that you have to watch out for later on down the road. I think he's going to be a project, but a very strong guy. Very good base. Technique needs a little bit of work on, but that's a lot, especially for a guy who's been switching a lot of positions all over the offensive line. He's going to be a guy to look out for, folks. So those are my top five, my sleepers. Let me know who you guys think who's going to be one of the top linemen. Do you like James Brown? I kind of like James Brown too. I just think that him being from Troy, and I think that Santolo has a better upside than James Brown. Even though I think they both have, those are the two linemen, in my opinion, who have the most untapped potential. So those are my top five, my sleepers, my undervalued pick, and my biggest faller. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.